Hello and welcome back to Two Andrews, One Barbell. I am Andrew Blackwood.
I'm Andrew Rowe.
And this is episode 16. It has been probably over a month since the last episode.
We just had a 2-minute discussion about what episode this was.
Yeah. No, it's been a while. It shouldn't have been so long though. We were trying to organise stuff behind the scenes and it just keeps falling through. Why is it so hard to get guests? Maybe no one wants to come on.
We just out ourselves there. It's like no one wants to come on the podcast.
Yeah, no, we had a guest, fell through, very busy schedule, but that one will hopefully be rescheduled. Then we had another person on, but then people are going on holidays, so that didn't work up either. But we're going to reschedule that one. And then we had a third one that we were like, okay, this one is secure. Yeah. This one definitely, this will be a great one. It was actually Andrew's coach. We were like, this will be a really good episode. Yeah. In my brain, I was like, this one could be like 4 hours or something. This will go on for a long time. Yeah. Came to the day before and he realized he was double booked.
I was going to say something funnier for a reason, but I just couldn't think of anything.
So he was booked in to get a tattoo. And full credit to him, he was going to drive 3 hours from where he lives.
From the tattoo?
Yeah, so get the tattoo in the morning, drive 3 hours up here to us to record the podcast for however many hours that would be, and then drive 3 hours home. Madman.
You know what we should do when he comes up? I should have said this to you, but we need to not send him home. Let's...
Yeah, I know.
For a while, he does this 6-hour return trip. Yeah. Let's actually do something when he comes up.
Yeah, but full credit to him. He was going to make it happen. But first tattoo, you don't want to be driving for hours after that. You don't do anything after your first tattoo.
Man, are you finished with your tats?
So for now, right? I'm not going to get any more tattoos for now.
What's for now?
Until I get lean. I want to get not shredded, but I want to get lean first. Yeah. I want to see what's working under here, and then after I've seen that one time, then I'll cover up more. Because say my whole right leg is done essentially, I can't see shit on that leg. But then my left leg, where there's no tattoos on the quad or anything, I can see the muscle separation and so on. Left arm is totally done. Can't see anything there. Whereas the right arm, that's where I can see, again, the muscle separation. That's how I judge if I like myself or not, if I look jacked. So once I see that I get lean, I'm like, oh, okay, I am kind of jacked a little bit. Then I'll cover everything up. I want to get a torso tattoo. I was going to get my back done, but I'll wait. Yeah, I'll wait until
I can't wait to see what it looks like when you are very lean.
Yeah,
and your skin's dry with the tattoo, and you can see the separation under the tattoo. Because you will be able to.
Yeah, you will. See, I'm saying I can't see muscle separation. That's because I'm fat.
Cope. I can't see. I have so many tattoos. I can't see my muscle separation.
What about you? Any more
tattoos? I was only thinking about it the other day. I was talking to someone because they had just gotten a tattoo recently, and they asked me that same question. And I'm being drawn to something on my forearms.
I like it, yeah.
But I'm noticing that I have, that small bit of internalized stigma around having the tattoo out.
Yeah.
Even though I love tattoos, I love when people have tattoos, and I love my tattoos. I realize, on camera, you actually can't tell that I have loads of tattoos.
That's a good point.
I have a lot of tattoo.
That's a good point.
A lot of my torso, a large percentage is tattooed. Yeah. And so
was that a conscious decision?
I don't think that was fully conscious. However, now that it comes to the point that I'm right, I want to get something visible, I'm hesitant.
Oh.
And you know what it is? I just hate the idea, because I always told myself, if it came to the point that it was the difference between me having a job or not, I don't want to work for someone that would be prejudiced in that sense.
Against tattoos.
Because that's just fucking weird, right? So they'd have to be 70 plus, and who the fuck is working at 70 plus anyway, right? If that was CEO or something, right? But I would fear that I'd go to an interview, but then I'm wearing a shirt anyway.
Yeah. That's I was gonna say Huberman. He has a load of tattoos.
Yeah, doesn't he?
Yeah. I only actually saw a picture of his tattoo. He's fully tatted up.
Yeah.
But he always wears shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
He's talked about it. I say that like I know stuff about Huberman. I don't know anything about him.
I watched Mike Griswold slate his training program.
Yeah,
so
I like it.
good.
I like it.
Yeah. But yeah, I do want more tattoos. I hate the pain, and they cost a lot.
They're two big hesitations I have as well.
Yeah.
I actually do. I hate the pain.
Anybody who says they don't hurt is lying.
Yeah. I've something I think I've done maybe 20 tattoo sessions that are between 4 and 8 hours long. So like, I don't know, I'm not going to do the maths on that, but like I've done, I've done
4 by 20. I'm not.
Right, I'm not doing the maths on that.
Pull up the calculator there.
Mario, pull it up, Mario. Mario, 4 by 20, please.
Astrophysics.
I'm not doing that, right? Okay, I'm not doing.
Oh my god.
That's lots of hours. Okay, what I was gonna say is how many days that is, right? Mario, 4 by 20 divided by.
It's too much.
Divided by 24. So I don't like it. Anyone who says tattoos are fine or doesn't hurt, they either have a really small tattoo,
I was just gonna say,
or they're blatantly lying.
I think up to 3 hours, you're like, what's
Oh,
Andrew talking about?
Fine.
Yeah.
And then once you're
Take
beyond,
that 7th hour where your body's like,
and every time they wipe over something
Oh!
that they touched before, literally like your ass will clench, bro. You can like feel. I'm not gonna say what you.
and they're like soothing you as well. They're like, it's okay, we're nearly done.
Yeah.
And then
And
they're
they're
like, wipe
lying.
it. You're like, surely just leave the
with
blood
the
on it.
driest fucking tissue that you've ever felt.
It's
in your
paper
life.
towel. It's literally kitchen roll. Like, you know the fucking
And
friction of a kitchen roll.
It's more painful than the actual process of like the needle going in, that wiping. I hate it. Like your stomach, like.
And you brace for it,
yeah.
but then when they're doing it, it's just
Yeah.
like your whole body moves.
Oh, and you're sweating, and it's horrible. Anyone who says tattoos don't hurt is lying. But
Or you're insane and you love the pain.
I actually can't imagine that though. Are there people who can? My tattoo artist has his whole neck done.
My
Did it in
barber
one
does.
session.
My barber has his neck and from the sides of his head to the back of his head.
One session on your neck. That must be like an 8-hour thing. Or like and you have gone like around the ribs and stuff. That's
Sore.
yeah, I can't imagine that. I wouldn't want to do. My brother has a big one on his ribs, and it's just the outline. Like he didn't get the shape, and he's like, "I don't care. I'm not filling it in.
It's that bad.
I'm not going back."
It is that bad.
A surprising one is the calf. So I got
popular
my
place.
my second or third one on my calf, thinking it would be totally fine. And my tattoo artist was like, "Do you want to get numbing cream for this?" And I was like, "It's the calf. Like surely that'd be one of the easiest places." And then he showed me his leg, and he's like, "I started this tattoo 15 years ago, and I'm not finishing it because it was too painful."
Really?
And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" And then I was like, "Let's go get that numbing cream right now."
And yours?
My calf?
Yeah.
Yeah, horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. I had one where I didn't have numbing cream on it. The like snakes that I have on the back of my right leg. That was maybe like a 5 or 6 hour session. I was on the verge of like passing out, crying, shitting myself. Yeah. And you can't see it. That's another one.
Yeah, you don't know when it's
You have
gonna be
no
done.
idea how far they are into it, or what's left to do. That's like the mental torture on top of it as well.
Yeah, there's I was trying to find a weird balance. So the girl Yasmin that was doing this would say, okay, like, do you want to have a look? Because I'd be like, are we nearly done?
Yeah.
She's like, do you want to see how far we are?
That's
and
the
it's
nice
like,
way of saying no.
no, but like I've gotten up and
Yeah.
looked, and then I see, and it's like either way farther from completion, and then you're like, oh, I don't even want to do this, or it seems close. So you lie down, and you're like trying to imagine where the tattoo stroke is.
Yeah.
But then it's just not following.
What you think. And I think as well, when you take that little break, it's way more sore when you get down again.
Yeah.
You're like desensitized a little bit, maybe the blood is like flowing.
The bigger the break, the worse, though. I find like if you're up for like say 20 minutes, toilet, like they get food.
Swelling is starting to like.
Because then as soon as they touch it again,
Yeah. Why do we get tattoos? Man?
Why do we get tattoos? Why do we get tattoos?
That is actually a good question. That's that.
Too fucking weirdos, man.
Maybe
Maybe the stigma's right, man. Maybe we're just too free.
I thought about that the other week, I would say, and as I was thinking about it, I was like, this question makes me uncomfortable. Like, why does it make me uncomfortable? Like, why did I get it? What is it? Perhaps like something to do with like insecurity, like wanting some form of like outward expression of yourself, make yourself different, some form of that. I know for myself, when I got tattoos, I felt more confident. I felt more confident in myself and in my skin.
And could that even be because you're doing something kind of bold?
Maybe. Something rebellious, something different, something unique. I'm making myself distinguishable.
You're willing to do something that other people aren't willing to do.
Yeah.
Could it be like you can kind of control how you look?
Yeah.
Give you an illusion of control over how you look? rather than just accepting you look like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to accept that I look like this.
No, no. I mean, just in general.
Yeah, I get
like,
what you mean. Like
modifying your
hit
body.
with the ugly stick. You need
body
to do.
modifications.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
What do you think?
Why?
Yeah. Why
I
do you
think
why do you
I think
tattoos?
it's going to be a combination of all those ideas. Now, it's just because I think they look cool.
Yeah.
But like the underlying, what separates people who want tattoos and don't get them, want tattoos and do, or don't want tattoos?
Yeah.
What's the
A
difference?
lot of the people that I talk to when I say like, would you ever get a tattoo? The main hesitation I hear from people is like, oh, I'm too fickle, or I change my mind too often. I wouldn't want to put something on my body that I potentially don't like.
Because we all change our minds.
Yeah, I find for myself that it's like a commitment that you have to like. It's like it forces you to get over that kind of thing. Like I have something on my body, I don't really like it. Get over it. You're gonna die anyway. So the tattoos are permanent, but you're temporary. So there's no point losing sleep over it.
I was
my
going to
outlook.
say,
Like,
it teaches you that things are just not that big a deal.
Yeah.
As well, like people who fuss over the tattoo and oh, what if I change my mind? It's like, forget about it.
yeah.
It's like you liked it at the time.
Yeah, and it's like a representation of where you were in your life at that time.
Exactly.
And you got it.
It's like, oh, but what if I go on this holiday and I don't want to go there when I'm 20 years older? It's like, you don't have to.
Yeah,
It's like,
go there now.
yeah, go there now. Enjoy the tattoo now.
Yeah.
Forget it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like you look at your, like, the bone in your ankle every day and think, oh, I wish I could fucking get rid of
Change
that.
that.
Just there, you forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, you do forget you've tattooed a lot, because a lot of mine were on my legs as well, so you don't see them that often. And then you're like going for a shower or something. You're like, whoa, that fella's there. Go on.
Yeah, I would like my legs tattooed.
Yeah.
One of them.
Yeah.
I'd like to do like one whole leg,
Yeah.
but there's so many painful spots.
Yeah.
Calf, the back of your knee.
Man, the groin. I've one that goes right up, like up to the top of the adductor.
Yeah.
Back of the knee. Back of the knee was actually fine.
Really?
Yeah, with numbing cream.
What's the one that says insert here? Or is that just an idea?
That was a good one. Yeah, no, I've had some like funny ideas for like butt cheek tattoos over the years, but I don't think there's any like point.
Handprint. Teeth marks.
Yeah, I feel like that would interfere with your life a bit as well. Like after
Your butt cheek tattoo?
Yeah, like while it's healing.
Oh,
Like,
my
you can't
leg in
just-
general?
Yeah.
Or your butt cheek particularly?
Butt cheek in particular. Like you have to sit on stuff, or at least it'd be uncomfortable to sit on stuff for a
Depends
while.
what you're sitting on.
Oh, that's crazy. That is crazy.
So, with that, how have you been recently?
On the note of butt cheeks, okay, this is an entirely 100% separate topic. Okay,
I have no idea what he's about to say here. He hasn't prepped me for this one.
My girlfriend. Not what you think it's going to be. It's not her butt cheeks, right? She will show me every second day, like DMs she's getting from, like, guys. What is wrong with guys on the internet? There is a guy.
On the internet, just full stop.
Yeah, like on Instagram, okay, she'll get like paragraphs, love letters of people like writing poems for her and stuff.
Nice.
Okay, crazy. And there was one guy in particular that like just sent a picture of himself like in his underwear.
Yeah, nice.
Fine, whatever. Okay, I would hope she doesn't reply.
She's like, damn.
The next day after the underwear pic, the guy just sends a picture with his cheeks out, and he
With his cheeks?
yeah, like his bum cheeks out. It's a picture of him in the mirror with his ass cheeks out, or something like that. And he goes, do you like the preview, or would you like to see from the front? Who's out here sending this stuff? What real human is sending this stuff? Do you know the thing as well? None of them even like follow her. These people are just spraying DMs across the internet.
Something, man.
To people they don't know or follow.
He said, do you want to see it from the front? Can you see it from the front? His ass from the front. It must be huge.
Crazy. So yeah, that came to mind. What's up with people on the internet? What's wrong with guys?
No, I think
who's
in
doing
general, there's like a large percentage of people who have no inhibitions and have not been taught to be respectful or appropriate, full stop.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand. Disgusting, man. I'd say not most, but I'd say a large percentage of people are like that. For every person who's respectful, there's probably two who aren't.
Yeah.
So.
There's another topic that we could have gone on to, but we won't.
Oh,
okay, we will go. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the internet. Seems to have like ruined. I was gonna say like men or young men. I think
Go on.
like video games, and then I'm not gonna. We don't have to talk about the access to
Porn.
Yeah, sexual things online. I think is just like.
Right.
I don't know if 100 years ago people were conducting themselves, and you'd have to go out into society and actually do things to achieve status to attract like a opposite
mate.
partner. Yeah. Whereas now you just pick up your phone and you have access to whatever you want, and then you can play a video game and you get this like fake status on a video game, and there's no desire to
Is
go
there a
out
video
and-
game coming to mind?
I don't know, just people who would spend hours and hours and hours on video games rather than doing something productive. Now, there's nothing wrong with video games, but I'm just saying,
I get
is
what you're
it
saying. There's like a virtual
sense of achievement?
as opposed to life achievement.
Yeah, actually having to go out in the world and do some stuff.
Here's what comes to mind. So I think right now there's porn and that goes hand in hand with like the quick form algorithm of say Reels
Yeah,
and TikTok, right? So there's scrolling. There's like what you call it, doom scrolling earlier, or what's brain rot.
Yeah.
And there's porn. I think video games are a far less harmful thing because it's not that quick dopamine hit of because you actually kind of have to try, and then also I hope it's not pornographic, the video game, right? So like it's just like killing each other for a few hours and then you go to bed, right?
Yeah.
Which I get. That's a topic to be had in and of itself.
Yeah.
But the current state of what people are consuming, you picked out a cohort of young men, and I think that's because they're particularly harmful when they're raised in that way, sexually in particular. But I think it's rot. It is rot, and I think it's only now starting to become apparent, but it's also getting worse.
Yeah.
And then I think as like digital technology gets more and more enhanced, like imagine when you have like glasses that you can just watch,
come on.
that you can watch,
Yeah,
so you don't even have to have your phone up.
you-
People don't even know you're on
yeah.
it. Man, people are going to be destroyed.
Yeah. So anyway, too long didn't read. Go touch grass and
go
stop watching
touch
nasty
grass
stuff on the internet. You
talk to
fucking
real
freaks.
people, bro.
You fucking freaks.
Yeah, stop looking that shit up, man.
So yeah, that's that. I don't know how we got onto that, but that is
Yeah.
Just go be productive, people. Go do something for the world.
Okay, maybe I'll throw in as well. If you're feeling like you're struggling with those things,
Yeah.
actually,
That's not about
and
that is
actually, text me because Andrew will berate you. Okay,
No, I won't.
Andrew will be like, touch some grass. No,
Okay, yeah, no, we joked about it a little bit. We sounded a little bit harsh. Yeah,
I'm
obviously,
dead
obviously.
serious. Those things are quite addicting. Reach out because they are difficult to deal with, and it is funny. It's okay for it to be funny, the topic, but we can help, or we can help point you in the direction.
In the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think there are more people like talking about that. You know, like Theo Vaughn. He's one of the people that like I heard talking about it, and I was like, you know what? He's right.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good.
So anyway, how am I going? How's life going? How's training going?
How's your porn image?
How's training going? Good. We're 7 weeks out from Worlds. Actually, okay, my training is boring. Everything is going good. Everything's going in the right direction. I'm on the ball. I know everything that I need to do. I weigh 116 kilos. I'm getting bigger. I'm getting fatter. Everything is good.
What's the next competition?
Worlds.
And how far out are we?
7.
And then, what's the next
Oh
competition?
yeah, we got invited to European Championships. Yeah. So
we're going to Euros, both of us.
Yeah.
Like 5 weeks after Worlds.
Yeah.
That's going to be a
quick
fucking
turnaround.
tough turnaround.
But we've been there before. We've been there a few years in a row now, and we're well equipped. We're well able. We know what to do.
Man, I'm going to clip this to prove you have a foot fetish. Anybody listening? We have feet in our hands. Okay.
Yeah.
Will that stay like that?
No.
No. Okay. So
Keep it in your lap.
yeah, keep it somewhere. I wasn't even sitting on the chair, man. So we're going to Euros. I think you were going to segment onto how's my training.
Yeah.
So a few weeks ago, was it the last podcast before this? I think it was.
Yeah.
So it's only been like 3.5 weeks since. But I wanted to start a new physical activity. I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, went to a beginner class.
Yeah.
I was very like field sport athletic when I was younger. Would be playing like all sorts of sports. Would be training multiple times a day before like heavy powerlifting, and I was very mobile. I'm still mobile. However,
in what context? In the fact that you can like walk around?
I am more mobile than I even thought. As in, like, I can still do things in ranges of motion that.
Yeah, like Kama Sutra stuff. Like.
Yeah, yeah, right. But I was doing a warm up at this class and fucking tore my adductor, bro. Boy, that shit popped and.
Like big time, like it really tore.
So at the time, it was like that Velcro feeling, like when you're kind of pulling fabric apart. Like have you ever ripped a t-shirt or something? No. You probably haven't, but you know what I mean. So when you like rip a t-shirt and you can hear the fabric tear. So I just got up, but I think I've reflected on this since. I'm so glad it happened there and not like under a squat now. It wouldn't happen under a squat really unless you're doing something stupid. But I'm glad it happened in the environment that it did, because the immediate like cognitive mapping of what happened, your man was just like, oh, don't worry, yeah, it's tough to get back into this kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, true. I was like, oh, that's pretty fucking sore. Yeah. And you know, the guy was there, was like, yeah, all right. I was like, yeah. I just kept going and then did the rest of the class. It was sore. So like, when I was trying to like stand up out of someone's guard, it was like I couldn't really put pressure on the leg, but I was just like, oh, I'll just use my other leg. And just because I want to practice and I was sweating and everything like this. Got through the whole class. And I think because of that, man, I then didn't view it as that bad.
Yeah. The
next day it was like that size, the size like both my hands put together, and then it was bruised. Whoa, whoa, buddy. Yeah, it was right up there. Yeah. My boxers were too small. But no, it was so swollen, and then it bruised up mega. And yeah, so it tore. Yeah. Couldn't bodyweight squat, couldn't do a lot. But yeah, I just didn't overreact, and you know, it just wasn't the end of the world. Wasn't the worst thing going on. And as the weeks have gone on, I've posted on Instagram updates, but I essentially started at like a half squat with 200 and then some like third squats with 200. And then I'm now up to like probably 2 inches off depth with 250. Nice. And I've since done 170 without the pin. And then on Saturday I did beltless 160s without the pin. So excellent. We are now squatting full range of motion. I have heels on, slightly narrower stance, a little bit slow into the hole. And I can feel it, but it's not sore. So Adam did point out something useful, and it was that I was like, oh man, like I don't know, like how do I figure out when to like take out the pin? And he was like, look, you have to remember that you didn't tear the tissue doing this movement. You tore it doing something else. So yes, the tissue is damaged and healing, but don't, like the like neurological pathway for squatting isn't the same. Yeah. And so if the tissue can complete the squat, it will. Yeah. So don't tell yourself it can't. So that was useful to note. Yeah. So right now, I have 1 more week before I go to Portugal for a week. So I'm going to see if I can load up a really heavy pin squat, like 320. Going to see can I
tear the other adductor.
Yeah, man, wide tear one. So yeah, I'm going to try pin squat pretty heavy and then slowly transition back into competition squatting. Yeah. Then, when I'm home from Portugal, we're 5 weeks from the competition. Yep. And then probably 5 weeks from Euros. So glad I got that Euros invite, man.
Yeah, yeah, you were doubting it, but I always believed in you.
Thank you.
I knew you could get it.
Anyway, that's where we're at right now. I'm like 99.5, about 2.5 kilos up.
Nice.
It sounds light, but then when I also note that I was 97, it's actually pretty good.
Tore your adductor.
I tore the adductor as well. Yeah. So training away, living away. Yeah. Everything's great, man.
Doing your thing. Mind your business.
Do we have anything else crazy before we touch on something?
Okay, as
oh, you do have some shit, don't you?
As I was going, okay, so let me like preface. Okay. When the podcast fell through for a few days ago when we were meant to have Andrew's coach on, we were like, okay, will we just do one with the two of us? And for whatever reason, I was like, I literally, like, I'm brain dead at the moment. Like, I can't think of anything. I have no thoughts. Like, if we did a podcast, we'd just sit here and you'd talk and I'd be like, I have nothing going on back here. I'm like a backseat driver in my own brain. And that's been going on for a couple weeks. And I was trying to like figure out why it was going on, you know? And I think I identified 2 of the reasons. Hit me. One being, okay, say throughout my like daily schedule, if I'm cooking or eating, I generally am listening to podcasts or like something on YouTube that is educational or informative. So it's rarely ever something that is just for like entertainment. It's usually, say like a Mike Israetel video, a 40-minute long video on something to do with
triceps.
Yeah, hypertrophy of some sort, or it's a podcast that's on nutrition. So I'm always like getting ideas into my brain around like training and nutrition and thinking about new things, and we'd talk about it, and then we'd have like ideas to explore on the podcast. But I'd say over the last few weeks, there's been much less training or nutrition related stuff. It's been much more like financial stuff, businessy stuff, like personal development stuff. So I have much more thoughts about those things, but I'm like, I don't have a business podcast. I'm not going to talk about that. So I think that is one of the reasons why my headspace hasn't been in like a training podcast mode. And then also I found myself spending too much time just like scrolling Instagram, not paying attention. Like just between my day, like 5 minutes here and there, like picking up my phone and scrolling. I think one of the reasons is the main platform that I text my girlfriend on is Instagram. So I don't know why that is. I don't know how that started.
What fucking age are you?
You probably use Snapchat or something. You fucking 12-year-old.
Yeah.
This jet is going to disappear.
Yeah. Girlfriend.
Yeah. So, like Instagram is the main one. But then I find myself, say you reply to a message, you just end up scrolling for 5 minutes. And then you catch yourself and you're like, where was my consciousness for the past 5 minutes? Like I've been brain dead. Like I haven't been alive for those 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you're like checking your phone to see if there was a text, and then if there wasn't a text, then you still end up scrolling.
Yeah.
So it's just spending too much time consuming just nonsense, and that was just, it was like annoying me as well. I was getting like annoyed that I seemingly didn't have that control like over my brain, that I kept like reverting into this habit. So anyway, that kept happening.
So like, just for example, I have a screenshot of Andrew Blackwood sent a reel by Stiff Boner. I'm going to put that on my story when we say episode 16 is out. But that's like, it is just raw.
It is. Like, and we all do it. Like, it's funny. Like, the stuff you come across is funny, but it's in no way conducive to like anything in your life.
Anything.
Oh. So anyway, I've made a switch, and I told my girlfriend, I was like, don't fucking text me if it's not on WhatsApp. Okay? Only text me on WhatsApp. I don't want to fucking know about it if it's not on WhatsApp.
Does she experience the same thing?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't want to speak for her, but yeah. I would say probably similar. So I've addressed that, and even over the last few days, like I feel clearer minded since that.
Sorry, there's an elephant in the room that I need to address.
What?
I keep going to say something like offensive at you. So what we need to do, and I think we'll do incredibly well, is we need to do a podcast where there's no holding back. And we berate each other.
What?
And we go all out, and I think that shit's gonna get views, bro.
Yeah, okay. Fuck, I better get practicing.
Practicing, mate.
I have no negative thoughts about you.
Yeah.
I've got to start making stuff up.
Yeah.
Like Kill Tony. I've got to watch more Kill Tony just so I can get insults from them and then repurpose them for you.
Man. Anyway, yeah, so the text on Instagram, obviously next step is just text on WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
But no, I experience the same thing as well. You'll go onto Instagram for a reason, like to reply to someone. 20 minutes later, you're watching some guy get run over by like a cow.
A family of 4 literally get crushed
by a train
in their Nissan Micra. Like a truck just evaporates the car.
And my mom's like, you all right? And I'm like,
What?
yeah, sorry, it's just been 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point though, where you are literally not conscious. Is your brain is just like absorbing this shit. And it's like, it's just the accessibility of the next video.
And the algorithm is like perfectly designed to trap you, to steal your time.
To the point that, do you notice at different times?
It's different
of the
kind
day?
of stuff.
Yep.
They're genius.
It's
literally
it's
designed to rob your time.
But yeah, oh my god.
And it is entertaining still. Like it's maybe not the cars stuff, but
of course. It's entertaining in the fact that it's what your brain wants to see.
Morbid curiosity and morbid fascination. And
shit.
Yeah.
So you felt like that was affecting you recently?
Yeah, just like I was spending an unnecessary amount of time just like mindlessly consuming rather than actively or consciously doing stuff within the world. I am switched off, like I'm a robot. and I'm just stuff fucking information coming into my brain rather than me listening to something and then thinking about it like it's an interesting topic about training or nutrition that then I have a spin-off idea and I'm like, oh, I'd love to chat to Andrew about this one thing, or I wonder how blah blah blah.
I think when I think about it is you're saying there how you're doing this inactive process as opposed to creating and thinking. You're consuming instead of creating. And we can consume, like we eat nice foods. It doesn't mean you don't watch things you like or you don't eat nice things or all these things. I don't like that kind of like push on social media where it's like, you know, the grind and whatever. But what is the case is we are built to do something in search of the reward, right? Like you create, we're active, we complete a task, and then you receive satisfaction or a reward in some capacity, even if it's just money, even if it's just the joy of having a conversation, and that's productive. And I think that's how our brain develops in a healthy way. However, we are now sucked into, and I can only imagine raising a kid in this, man. But we are now at a point where you don't have to create or be active or complete a task to receive the satisfaction. And that's the issue. And when we're talking about TikTok and porn, it's the same thing.
It's brain rot. It's all just brain rot.
It's brain rot because instead of your brain producing, it's just consuming and receiving what it would otherwise
it would, like it's getting producing those
fake,
happy hormones.
Fake production, you're not producing anything.
And then that makes you want to like seek that out more often. And then since it's so easy and so accessible, you do keep reverting to. Like you don't even think about it. Like I will notice, say I'm like doing like work of some sort, and I'll like finish a task, say like a small part of a task. I will automatically reach for my phone, and then like open up an app, and I'm like, what the? As soon as I open up the app, I like swipe out of it, and I'm like, am I controlling myself, or is like the phone controlling me? Like what's going on?
That's an interesting. I'll actually send you an essay I wrote on that, but like whether or not you're controlling yourself. Or how much of a product of conditioning you are.
It's not that, but what's the like predeterminism or like determinism? That whole philosophy that like nothing you do in your life you're choosing to do. Everything is already like a defined path that is gonna happen. And
the like well, actually, that's one thing that is like some like almost pre-written story. Whereas like Skinner or like behaviorism, did you ever hear that? And it's basically just that. Like so Skinner would work on rats with conditioning and things like this, where you'd have them in a cage and they would learn to do something to receive the reward. Right? That's conditioning, full stop. But behaviorism, when taken to a deterministic extreme, is essentially that every behavior you conduct is just learned based on the fact that you were like you reinforced something, and then sure, we're very complex, and I don't find it arguable that that's potential, but when you say you're even controlling yourself, it's like when you become less conscious or you're using less of your kind of control, like the prefrontal side of your brain, the human part of your brain, you resort to just doing things that are that are just like
just the habits, the things that have been ingrained, the things that have been reinforced. So what I find myself doing is when I have to work, I will throw my phone to the other side of the room, so I can't like, and then just that small barrier of not being able to like reach it or like it actually able to pick it up, then I don't.
Or the app Forest that I told you about.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd get it.
Yeah, you have to pay for that, don't you?
It's like €4, man.
Yeah, fuck that. No, I tried to get a different one that it was a free version, but it was so bad. Like really? It just kept saying I killed the trees, and I was like, I didn't even do anything wrong, man. Bro. You're making me feel bad. I didn't do nothing.
That's sad.
So
how are you feeling now with your?
Oh, I'm feeling grand and dandy. Had a good training session on one of the days, and I was seeing people, chatting to people, and that was good. I had a social outlet, social interaction, which was nice.
Doesn't that have a profound effect on your
headspace? 100 million gazillion %.
Especially when you, it always does, I think, and it's always healthy to have these social outlets. But when you are in a weird mindset, be it emotionally or just like that, brain fog, distracted, man, social interaction can have a complete 180 effect on your brain.
And how you're thinking. Yeah, it's bizarre.
And it's real though, that's the thing. And when it goes back to like this feedback, the reward that you're getting from social media, even though you don't have to do anything, whereas the real interaction you're having with someone, and then you feel genuinely good, and you're reinforcing that, like the way your brain should work of complete something, do something, complete it and you feel good. And then what it does is, okay, now I need to talk to people to feel good, as opposed to now I need to go on my phone to feel good.
Yeah. Damn, that's complex. That's been an interesting one that we dug into there. I like that. Because it applies to everyone. Like we all do it. We all scroll.
Of all ages.
Yeah.
Of all ages.
I respect the people who, like, I have a few friends who just like delete Instagram and they don't have it at all. I'm like, I imagine my life would be so different if I
Very
didn't.
different.
If I wasn't, if my, like, say my work and my job wasn't kind of embedded in Instagram.
Yeah.
I would like to experience that. I would like to not.
I wonder now, are we at an age though where nearly everything is embedded in Instagram a little bit, even if you're not working online. It's just like, how do you stay connected to people?
WhatsApp.
True. Okay. Yeah. Like you could still be on your phone.
Yeah.
It's not that you don't have to text anyone. That's
emailing people.
Whoa.
Bro, someone emailed me. You're not my friend.
Man, I'm gonna start emailing you now.
Well, I'm blocking.
Make sure you're working.
Bro, the
Make sure
podcast
you're
is
working.
cancelled.
Hey, dude. Title. Like, what I
Subject.
Stiff boner. Wouldn't be those. On you?
Yeah, you attach memes for me through email.
Oh god. Man, that used to be how you do it though. Before Instagram was like full on sendy send. It was just like you'd screenshot a meme from Facebook and send it.
Do you remember? We must have been maybe like 10, 11, 12 when memes were like
starting.
Yeah, and it was like a picture of like a dinosaur with like silly text on the top and the bottom, or like that Bad Luck Brian fella, or that like baby that had he like won something.
Yeah.
That was. I had an app. I had an app for memes.
I think I did too. It was like
it was called like LOL or something, and you would like literally just like scroll like to the side and just like get memes.
Nice.
But I was getting brain rot from when I was like 11 years old.
Maybe it's just hardwired into us to find this like easy way of.
I know. It is though. Our brain loves it.
It absolutely
is. Yummy
it's
video.
It's not new, man. Think about like these like not archetypes, but like ancient stories of like say like successful like the like king or whatever, and like the rich people of the land would just have like people just doing things for them and whatever.
Yeah.
It was always people are always searching to have things at ease and without effort. Because obviously, if you can get the reward with the least amount of effort, people are going to do it.
And then interesting, when we talked about this before, is as you go down that line of making things easier and easier and easier, the thing that is now like more convenient will default to being the least convenient thing. So say you had you used to have to drive half an hour to get to the gym, and then you move to a new gym that's 15 minutes away, and you do that for 6 months. And gradually that new 15-minute journey now becomes the more inconvenient thing. Yeah. And then you get a home gym that's in your back garden, and that's 30-second walk away. But then gradually that becomes inconvenient. Whatever the...
I feel like 30 seconds can always feel like a long time. You know what I mean?
Whatever you want to tell yourself, bro.
It depends, but no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, like say you lived in a paradise where everything was like given to you, you didn't have to work for anything, like you just instantly got 10 million euro, like would you be happy then? Because whatever like your butler bringing you your grapes, if he's a little bit too slow, that's now more inconvenient than having to work for a week to get the money to then pay for it.
I think we are like that system, that reward system, dopamine system, is made for work, a process, and then the reward. And I think when you don't have that in some capacity, you'll search for it, and without it you feel like shit.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's such a shallow level. I'd love to maybe read more of this. I'm kind of talking a little bit.
Yeah, we're talking on the edge of what we know, but we're exploring.
Yeah, I'm not saying I've like read on this or whatever, but I feel like the dopamine process, the reward process for shallow shit is like that, is shallow. And what you're doing is you're subverting a lot of other processes that are normally associated with the dopamine process. And so, sure, you're receiving the dopamine, but over time, like the first time you do it, class, second time you do it, class, but over time, your brain needs to go through a process. It has to go through a challenge, doesn't even have to be extremely challenging. It just has to do something, it has to exercise something in order to receive the dopamine, otherwise you feel shit. So yeah, like that, even if you just, like the lotto, man, you know, people used to say, like, always say money doesn't buy happiness. And as a kid, I thought that was the stupidest thing. And I loved when people be like, yeah, buy a Ferrari. It's like, oh, see?
I'll be crying in my Bugatti.
Yeah. But in reality, it's like you are subverting the natural course of having to do something. And then I used to hear people saying, oh, would I like still work? I don't even know if they knew why they were saying that. but it is genuinely, if you weren't working, if you weren't doing something, you'd have to do something. Maybe you could argue, okay, well, if I won, maybe I'd do something that I just like doing. Yeah, but you would do something, not just consume. You need to create, and you need to pursue.
Yeah, it's that climbing the mountain, just having obstacles, having a journey. It's what we're meant to do. Yeah. Fascinating. What else is going on? Yesterday I had to meet someone's mum.
Your boyfriend.
There's a new guy signing up for online coaching. He's 16. So his mum just wanted to clear it. Just
clever, man.
Yeah.
No, honestly. Yeah. It's important for sub 18 or sub 17. Yeah. Legally it's 17, right? Yeah. Because their parents need to be involved. And it's very easy for them to then just sign up without telling their parents. It's good.
So I chatted to her. She just wanted to make sure that I wasn't giving them steroids and stuff.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, but she was really cool. She was nice. So that was fine. She was she did the classic as well. She was and creatine.
Oh, so cute.
She was is that part of the thing you have going on? I was no, he doesn't need to take creatine.
That's so
That's fine.
cute.
I was I'll give him all the information now, and you can learn about it. You'll have everything that you need to know before you make a decision.
Man, one of my favorite things, because we were saying recently how coaching becomes this thing that's just level. There's not much new to it when you know the ins and outs. I love talking to newbies in the gym, new people in the gym, because I work in the gym. So there's a lot of times where now guys are getting more confident. I say guys just because it's been guys recently. But I've had a few people come up and oh, can I ask you a question? And when I'm doing this and my shoulders like this, man, I love that. It's actually so fulfilling of something, helping someone when I know in that position. I loved having someone to ask. So I love when I get to help be that person.
Because I think about that as well, and when I look back at the people who played that role for me when I was coming up, a lot of them wouldn't even know how significant of an impact that they had on myself, and I probably couldn't even put it into words how significant of an impact that it had. But I still think about things that people told me when I was 16, 17 coming up, and advice that they gave me, and if I can play somewhat of a role of that for other people. And you know what's been happening more recently? And I was in a little bit of a funk with the podcast where I was I don't know if I have new ideas. I don't know if I have shit to talk about. More and more people, even in passing or through a text, have mentioned that they are doing things that they have heard us talk about on the podcast. Whether it's to do with accessories, whether it's to do with pacing of a block, whether it's to do with the importance of building muscle. It's people who work with other coaches who are from other countries who have been training longer than me, have been training less time than me. It seems the universe is sending me a signal, because there's been an influx of more people saying that as of late, that I'm damn, maybe we are doing something, and we don't know, because we don't know what someone else is internalizing and then what they put in place. But we're doing something. We're spreading some sort of information. We're having some sort of impact, which is cool to think about.
At the bare minimum, I know when I started, I would have loved to have had this list. So even if it's just one person.
So that's been cool.
It is cool.
What else? Oh yeah, Instagram. They're haters, man.
Oh yeah.
So I benched 170 kilos for 5 repetitions. Okay, massive PB, wholesome caption. I was really proud of this one. My bench has always lagged behind. Put a lot of work in to change it, and it got crap engagement, really low engagement. I was what? I was proud of this one. And then I saw in your account status, you can see that it was lowered in the feed by Instagram, and it says that it went against the guidelines for the distribution of illegal or restricted goods.
Bruh. So
I was what? I've had multiple situations in the past where previous posts have been lowered in the feed for ridiculous reasons this that don't make sense at all, something entirely unrelated. And then I appeal it. You're allowed to appeal it, and then they're oh yeah, we got this wrong. Presumably it's an AI that reports it initially, and then a human actually has to look at it and is oh yeah, they got that wrong. That's totally fine. I appealed this one, the 170 for 5, for the illegal distribution of goods or whatever, and a human reviewed it and was nah, this goes against our guidelines. So the guidelines are, it can't be selling illegal or restricted goods, pharmaceutical drugs, it says. it can't be promoting illegal or whatever restricted goods, and it can't be selling explosives, firearms, or animal body parts. So some human looked at my 170 for 5 and thought I was either selling gear, promoting gear, or selling,
man,
like, I don't know, dog legs or something.
You got them gorilla arms and you got that explosive diarrhea. You're on gear. The chalk on your back, did it look like cocaine?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Crazy. So obviously it was some tech nerd who has a shit bench who saw mine.
Reported it, man. I would say Human reported that and said steroid promotion.
Whatever. Anyway, I'm proud of my set. I know myself.
I'm proud of your set.
I'm a good, honest man. That's all. What else? Oh yeah, I got a barbell. I have a new project that I need to do. I got a secondhand Ohio power bar that I need to restore. So it's super duper uber rusty, like mega rusty. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to.
You should post a picture of it, because he's saying this. When he said rusty to me, I didn't expect to see the rust that he showed me. He sent me a picture of what looked like a long carrot. Man, the thing was just a red piece of steel.
It's jacked up.
It looked like something off a building site or like an abandoned building. It's like a beam on the floor. Man, this thing is red.
Yeah. So I read a few blog posts, read a few like articles and stuff like that. Watched a few videos. So I'm gonna need to figure out how to de-rust this barbell, bring it back to life, protect it. I did it before. I did it in Australia. Got a rusty bar and then restored it. Yeah. Huh. But it wasn't a bar of as high quality as this one. So I want to make sure that I do it right. So the last time we took the rust off, and then I think I like sprayed it with some form of like paint to like seal over it. But that kind of fucked up the knurling a little bit. It wasn't as sharp then because there was like paint in the grooves. So I don't want to do that again. I want to see if there's like a different product that I can get that will seal it, prevent the rust again without interfering with like the quality of the bar. But my neighbor is like restoring a van. They bought like a regular van and they're like making it livable so they can drive around the country and like live out of the van and do fun stuff like that. So he's like been getting rid of all the rust in the van. So I think I'm just gonna bring the barbell over and say, hey, Medi, give us a hand and take the rust off this, will it? So we'll see. Hopefully that'll work out. And then what I'm gonna do is not even for me. I'm gonna leave it in the gym and I'm gonna lock it up, and then my lifters in the gym can use it.
Nice. How many lifters in the gym do you have?
Good question. About 4, cool. 4 or 5, maybe, give or take. Some people coming and going.
Your whole roster is in.
Oh yeah, whatever.
No, I mean, that's such a cool idea. Such a cool project. I'm excited to follow along. Yeah.
I might make a video on it.
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, for Instagram.
Semi-interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. What else? I've just been, over the last like 2 days, anything that's like funny, I've just been writing it down in my notes. So there's just like 2 words that I've been putting in my notes. Alana getting bum pics. Hobby horsing.
Oh my God.
Do you want to take it away? Like, what is going on with the hobby horsing? And this is what I mean when I say I keep getting brain rot content. For whatever reason, I'm getting...
Shut up with the slander, okay? Hobby horsing is horse riding, but instead of the horse, they have, you know, those like, those... you know, those like kids toys, crafted, handcrafted.
Yeah.
It's like a pole with a horse's head on top. And it's used to emulate horse riding for a child before getting on the horse.
Yeah.
Someone decided along the way, let's do horse riding, but just on the stick.
Mario, pull up hobby horses, pull up hobby horses.
And I would love for people to see what we're talking about right now. Look up hobby horsing when you're listening right now.
Share it onto my fucking story.
I am as well. So now what we're seeing on Instagram is people hobby horsing, and they're like, you know, so basically it would be like a track, like horse riding. They have like the things to jump over and shit, but they just like, they skip, and then they jump over.
And they're like, it's slow-mo montages. It's like slowing down the jump like it's like they're at Cheltenham or something.
It's pretty impressive, okay?
And then there was a video, the one that caught me was like, people say hobby horsing isn't an extreme sport. This is me after my routine. And it's a girl, like, she can't breathe.
Rolling
she's on the
around.
floor. She's like about to die. And then you scroll to the next video and it's just her skipping around.
I think it's impressive, okay?
Yeah. You know what as well? Live and let live. If you want a hobby horse, do it. But fuck,
I feel like,
funny.
man, you're only mad because you need a fucking big hobby horse, okay? Just because yours would need
Man,
to be
I wouldn't be able to make it over the jumps. My horse is too heavy.
Man, some of these people are really, you know, they're scaling some jumps.
In fairness, though, we saw like the Nordic Championship, and there was people jumping like over the height of themselves, and I sent it to you,
the horse,
and I was like,
they had the horse in their hand as well. They take that into account.
Like, I was like, you know what? I take it back because this is actually impressive. Like, why am I now actually getting engaged in the hobby horsing?
Oh, fuck me! I know what I'm doing if I stop powerlifting. Hobby horsing, man.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I just had a hobby horsing taken down. Is there anything else that was funny?
No, we'll definitely post something about that because Andrew mentioned his interest.
Do you know what else?
What else?
Whenever I'm watching stuff on YouTube, like say I'm watching the educational stuff, Whoop ads. I'm sick of Whoop. I'm sick of Whoop.
Yeah.
I hate their ads. I'm sick of it. And do you know what? That's another thing. I take back the word hate. I don't like saying that word. Those ads, they rub me up the wrong way.
Oh.
When they
what ads
come
rub
on.
you up the right way? Hobby horsing.
Yeah, hobby horsing ones. Nah, the Whoop ones, man. Oh, every time. And
the
it's
Whoop
like,
what?
do you know there was? Yeah. There was one that was it was Michael Phelps was in the Whoop ad, and he was saying something like. Do you know where you only have the first 5 seconds and then you can like skip it?
Yeah.
In the first 5 seconds, it's just Michael Phelps being like, I always try to squeeze every last bit out of myself.
Yeah, I've seen that shit.
Every time I'm like, Michael, get out of here. I don't want to know. So, I keep getting those.
What's that to do with Whoop?
He's an ambassador.
What, does it track that shit as well?
Yeah.
300
That was a big
mils.
one.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sick of it. It's like Whoop measures your stress. Shut up, okay?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So it's not for me. I don't like the old Whoops. No hate to anyone who has a Whoop.
If you have a Whoop, text. I want to hear about your Whoop.
Yeah. Because there's all the stuff as well about those that like, I don't know, they give you your recovery score and it's telling people they have like shit recovery and then
don't like that.
It makes you like think that you're not going to do well when you're going into training and then it's self-fulfilling prophecy. You then don't have a good session because the little magic robot on your wrist.
Galvanic skin.
Bro, it's made up. They're making that stuff up if you ask me.
Fair enough.
Do you know, like when they're telling you burned 700 calories in that workout?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Man, I still even find it hard. Like I'll have like friends who, because they're not in the fitness sphere, like will have like their watch on. They'll say, "Man, I just burned like 400 calories on that bike." I'm like.
You might as well, just get a random number generator on your phone, just go, and then whatever number it's
Man, it's not helpful for people.
Yeah, anyway.
Because when, man, like think about it, right? When would you ever even like take that into account when you're like tracking your macros? Man, if I was cutting, like I'm tracking 30 minutes on the Stairmaster, I'm not tracking 300 calories. Like I'm not trusting that shit.
No, not at all. Yeah, so I don't like it influencing your thought process because then your beliefs will then influence how you act in the world and then that could have a net negative impact, which then bridges on to a vast and interesting topic about your beliefs.
Ooh.
And I have no idea where we're going to go with this one. I don't have firm thoughts on it. But you mentioned, did we post the video? Yeah, I think we did. You mentioned with your adductor that having belief like in the program and having belief in the pathway that you've decided has a significant impact on the results that you get from it, as opposed to not fully believing in the process. Talk to me about it.
So we were like throwing notes back and forth, and you mentioned the biopsychosocial model.
Yeah.
And you can have a surface level understanding of what biopsychosocial model means. Like maybe if you're to map it out, you have like a biological circle, social circle, and a psychological circle, and then there's like overlapping in the middle. But I don't think that understanding doesn't cover the true depths of what's going on. And it is essentially acknowledging the not irretrievable, inseparable connection of your psychological and physiological state and social, right? But let's just say for right now, it's psychological and biological, right? Way back in the day, right? Way back, we're talking 1700s, right? Someone's going to correct me. Descartes, okay? Mind-body dualism. Your mind exists and your body exists. together, but they are separate entities, right? As opposed to now, we know that to treat the body, you have to consider the mind. The original medical model is dualistic. It's, you know, if you have a physical symptom,
You
like
treat it
you treat it physically.
Yeah.
And psychologically, you see your psychiatrist separate,
Yeah.
right? Whereas the onset of disease can be attributed to nothing but psychological, or back in the day, they would, you know, throw out the psychological reason, so there was no reason.
Lobotomize him.
Yeah, you're just sick. You're just sick.
Stick a needle in his head.
In his what?
Spike his brain.
Okay, we can get to that. But essentially, there's a branch of, I'll say psychology, but it's medicine.
Yeah.
It's psychoneuroimmunology, or
Heavy.
that's like what we will call it, but it's even psychoneuroimmunoendocrinology.
Nice.
So it's like biopsychosocial, but
Yeah.
what it's saying is it is the connection between your neurological system, which is your nervous system, your psyche, which is your mind, which is your thoughts, which is your conscious processing and everything unconscious, and your immunology and your endocrinology, which is your hormones and things like that. And it is essentially acknowledging that, say, the best thing is the buildup of stress, right? And the almost suppression, that's a bit of a washy word, but the avoidance of dealing with stress being the main thing and emotion being the other thing. And how that can be a very plausible cause of a disease that otherwise you may not have, otherwise may not have manifested.
Yeah.
And it can be the difference between, say, two people, say we both have the gene for, I don't know, skin
so
cancer, testicular cancer, and only one of us expresses it due to a psychological experience that we're having. Say, stress that we haven't dealt with, or ongoing emotion, maybe as a result of the stress. Stress has like a direct pathway. What's it? Your hypothalamic pituitary axis, and it's essentially the connection between your hypothalamus in your brain and your pituitary gland, which secretes or initiates the secretion of adrenaline in response to stress. And so you're stressed psychologically, and then your body's stressed adrenally, and now your body is having this stress response that it impairs your immune system, because it doesn't need your immune system, it needs to be prepared to deal with the stress. And now you're immunocompromised, and you get sick. Or the chance of both of us, but because of my stress, I get the sickness that both of us could have gotten. It's why you'll get you get sick during exams and shit like that. That's a very basic example. Anyway, that was a big convoluted way of explaining the connection between
so fascinating
mind and body.
Yeah.
So, bring it all the way back. There is no way, so then when you go to probably the more simple biopsychosocial, there is no way to disconnect the effect your mind has on the healing of your body. There's no way, unless you just switch your mind off. Which we can't. So the more pessimistic you are about the healing of an injury, literally could not only change your behaviors, which then influence it, but could, in a way that you could behave the exact same, but could slow down the rate of the healing.
That right there. Let's cut the podcast right now. Just let's cut everything else out of the podcast. Just post that, whatever that was, 5-minute clip. That is, what a crazy thought. How crazy is that our like psychological state has such a significant impact on.
How does that make you feel?
That's a good question. How does that make me feel? It makes me feel optimistic that if I am optimistic, things will go well. And it makes me want to steer away from those negative mindsets, which makes me feel psychologically more settled. But then the belief that will also make me like physiologically in a better position. It's fascinating. How does it make you feel?
It is daunting that you could be experiencing stress, unavoidable stress, and that could have a physiological effect. However, it's motivating to face stress head on, healthily, as opposed to taking kind of around routes to avoid it and get around it and forget about it, because that never helps. Or to take unhealthy avenues of dealing with it, which are directly unhealthy and long-term unhealthy as well. You're better to just chill.
Fascinating. That's one of the books that audiobooks that I'm listening to is How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. and it sounds like a real like woo-woo kind of like self-help book, but for me, oh my God, it's been tremendous so far. And it talks about that. It talks about, in particular, like stress, and then the correlation between like stress and illness, and how that can have such like a detrimental effect. And even my granddad has had like 3 heart attacks. And talking to him, he used to work this really stressful job. He was, I'm going to butcher it if I try to explain it. Basically, he would like, from my knowledge, like design railways and stuff. I'm pretty sure he like designed the tram system for Dublin. So he had this really stressful job all the time, 3 heart attacks, and like talking to him, he's like 100%. I think it's the stress that led to it. And then if there's a time where I'm like wound up or stressed, he's the first person to tell me to like let it go. And I think he said something like, it's your heart attack. If you're holding on to that stress, it's your heart attack. Like when you're getting yourself like wound up about situations. And we kind of touched about it like a little bit in the last episode, where we can often like make up scenarios in our head that put us in that state. He's like, hey, it's your own heart attack. You need to try avoid that or manage that as best you can. Yeah, fascinating. So again, bring it all the way back to how is this actually like applicable? Taking that optimistic approach with an injury, first and foremost, taking that optimistic approach with training, even just in a general sense, like believing that you can achieve big things, that like self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe that you're no good at something, how are you gonna get good at it? If your internal dialogue is negative and you're always beating yourself down, you're always trying to pick out flaws within yourself, and you're again your own biggest hater, how are you going to achieve anything when the foundation of your mind is holding you back? That sounds again very like woo-woo, but it's interesting how important it is, and how do you manage that? How do you like practically manage that? I suppose we've dug into it a little bit, trying to find little mantras, things like that, gratitude, looking for the small things to be grateful for, isolating any little win and celebrating that, not downplaying it. Yeah. And then
I was going to say, maybe to relate it back to earlier, how we were talking about promoting the reward system through doing as opposed to through like your phone, through like not doing anything and still achieving. I think self-esteem is a function of completing and doing tasks and knowing you can complete things and do things you set out to do and plan to do. So I think develop and maintain your self-esteem through continuing to do things that you can do. So you've said before, even small steps, do things that you know you can do in training. Set like, oh, the task is to just do these 5 exercises, do 3 sets of that, or try my hardest, go to failure, whatever it is you're looking to do. Set things that you can do. Do things outside of the gym as well. Just do. And when you've done, I notice this when I'm in a bad mood. If I have a week of doing, a day of doing, I set 5 things out, I write them down. I do 5 and I write the 6th thing that I did down. I'm a doer, my self-esteem is up, and now I can do tomorrow.
Damn. And that bridges on to something else. Do you believe in the law of attraction?
Okay, so, no, don't laugh. All right, so.
Do you believe in the law of attraction?
I have had discussions with people before where they have read or believe in this kind of like literal physics energy explanation, right? Because I cannot explain through any logic the energy, I still use the word like, oh, like you can feel someone's energy and things like that. I still use that. It's a vibe. It's like a quick, I believe, to be like a psychological summarizing of someone so that you know how to deal with them. I think that's what it actually is, right? But I still use the word energy. I don't mind it. But because I can't explain exactly the function that people propose is, oh, you put this out into the universe and it'll give it back to you. I can't explain that, so I'm not going to buy into that. But what I will buy into is, like that, if you are, I believe in like loops. So if you feel bad, then you start to behave, it starts to change your behaviors. Even in 1%, you think you're doing the exact same thing. I'm doing everything the same and everything's going wrong for me. It's like what you start to put out is given back to you in that you start to behave differently and in ways that facilitate things, and then you start to it changes your perception, and the way you perceive things is then altered, even if it's 1%. But what happens when you loop 1% is it eventually exponentially grows into 100 or beyond. And so now you've spent 100 days doing 1%, and then in 100 days, not only are you behaving 100% differently, but you're perceiving things 100% differently. Everything's gone bad.
Fascinating.
You? Here we go.
So I've debated telling this story before. Like we could be here for a while. This could be a long story. I'm unsure if I even want to tell this story now.
Okay.
But okay, maybe I'll just set the tone. Maybe I'll tell the story, and I don't know my thoughts on the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
You're exploring your thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. But I had an experience. You guys are in for a ride. I had an experience living in Australia. Moved to Australia when I was 18. My mum didn't want me to go. She said she'd wrestle me down the airport. I said, Mum, I'm 18 now. I'll do what I want. I moved to Australia. I deferred going to college, going to university. I said, I'll get my degree when I'm back home. Okay, I'm going and seeing the world. I'm going to be a vast traveler and experiencer of things. So went to Australia. We could do a whole podcast on the stories from there.
Well,
but anyway,
next time.
Yeah. Towards the end of the trip, okay, I'm gonna have to give like aliases here, because one of the main characters told me not to tell this story here, like not to tell other people of what happened. So, see, people are intrigued now.
What are you gonna call them?
That's a good question. I should probably have thought about that. Yeah, Mario and Andrew. Luigi. Yeah, Mario and Luigi. Mario and Luigi. So basically, this is towards the end of the Australia trip. Everything has gone wrong up to this point. There's been COVID, there's been bushfires. I saw aliens at one point. Anyway, we're coming to the end, have basically like not a lot of money left. Had been paying for this really fancy pants Airbnb apartment that was on like Gold Coast Beach. It was amazing. I was living my best life. But now I have like $150 left, and I have 2 months left living in the country. I was with my girlfriend at the time. She had a similar amount of money. So anyway, the gym that I was training in at the time, Zero Weakness, amazing gym. I'd been in there and been training there for, I would say, a couple of months by this stage. So I knew pretty much everyone there. I had like other friends. And there was a guy who was similar age to me. We'll say he's Luigi, okay? So this guy, again, like 18 years old, he lives with his girlfriend. He's like, how much are you paying for that apartment or that Airbnb in Gold Coast? And I was like, oh, like a grand a month or something like that. But we're gonna have to leave there soon, probably stay in hostel or something. I don't know what we're gonna do. He was like, oh, do you wanna come stay at my place? And I was like, oh, like, would your family be okay with that? There's a fly in my face. Would your family be okay with that? And he was like, oh, like I have my own house with my girlfriend. We have like a spare bedroom and everything. You can stay there. You don't have to pay rent or anything. So I was like, oh my goodness gracious. Like, seriously, do you mean it? So grateful. It was incredible. Told my girlfriend, we were like, okay, we'll move to their place. We'll stay there. We were actually both doing the same competition in a couple months. We were doing junior nationals together. So we were like, yeah, we'll just train together. It would be amazing. Went there, and this guy's girlfriend at the time sold crystals as like a side hustle. So when I tell people crystals, sometimes people think I mean like crystal meth. Sometimes people think I mean like diamonds, but no, like the like spiritual crystals, like amethyst and I forget the names of the other ones.
Meth.
Yeah. So like spiritual crystals, people who are into like the spirituality and they have energy and so on and so forth. So anyway, we're staying in their house, and she'll be like displaying the crystals, selling the crystals. There'll be people coming over to like look at them, to view them, to buy them, and we'd be upstairs listening, and there'd be people coming over, and you could hear them downstairs, and they're like waving their hands over the crystal and be like, oh my God, I can feel the energy. This one is calling me. We're wetting ourselves upstairs, going, these spoofers, what are they talking about? And they'd pay like $300 for this rock. And we're going, that's madness. What? How on earth are you like swizzing these people out of that much money? And she's like, no, like this is what these people are into. This is what we're into. Blah blah blah. So we're like, okay, whatever. Anyway, at this time, we were kind of just milling about, not doing a whole lot. We were eating the same foods every day. We were just getting like chicken breast. I'd get kangaroo burgers for lunch, and I'd have like plain cereal. So that was it. It's the most like bland, same food every single day. Miserable. Also, in the gym, I'd met almost like everyone by this stage, but there was one fella that I just hadn't met, but I kept hearing people talk about, and his name was like Mario. Okay, so this Mario guy that I'd not met, no idea who he was, but everyone kept talking about him. So, anyway, we I can't remember the exact sequence of this. If we watch the thing first, but let's say I go into the gym one of these days, and I see this guy who looks like Jason Momoa. He looks like Aquaman. He's like 6'4", long flowing hair. He's not actually like 6'4", but in my mind, he was 6'4". Olive toned, gorgeous man. Anyway, meet him, Mario. So we're chatting. He's asking me how my time has been in Australia. I tell him the whole messed up story of COVID and all the bushfires, and he's going, "Oh my God, that's crazy." Blah blah blah. He goes, "Do you want to go out for dinner? It's my shout." And again, we have been eating like the exact same food for months. We were like, "Oh my God, do you mean it? This would be amazing." So we go out for dinner with this guy. He took us to Nando's. It was the best meal I've ever had. He paid for it all. He was like, "That's my treat to you guys. Don't worry about it." So we're like, this guy is an angel sent from heaven above. Incredible. So anyway, that was that. We're going, "Oh man, I love Mario." Anyway, now the people that we're living with, they end up going away like camping or something for the weekend. So myself and my girlfriend were just sitting in the house, and we're like, okay, we'll watch something on Netflix, but we've watched everything. We've seen literally everything that there is to see on Netflix. But in the top 10, there was something called The Secret, which is this, it was a book originally on the law of attraction, which they then changed into a show or a movie. So we're like, let's see what these crazy crystal people are all about. Let's put it on and just see what their whole vibe is. So put it on, and it starts off, these people are talking about when they had this scarcity mindset, all they were thinking about was like debt and bills, and all that was coming in their way was debt and bills and badness, and they were having to spend more money, and their whole life was terrible and awful, and it was doom and gloom. And then they changed their mindset to abundant wealth. So they just said, I'm going to start believing that I'm going to get wealthy and everything is going to come my way and it's going to be amazing. And then all of a sudden, money started coming in the post. They started getting posted money. They got a check in the post for like $1,000 or something. And we watched this for like half an hour. We were like, this is the biggest crock of shit that I've ever seen in my life. Let me just think about money. I'm going to get money in the post. So anyway, at this time, the girl who sold the crystals, she had like leftover little gemstones of sorts. So there was 3 of them. One was like purple, one was blue, and then one was green. So she was like, do you want these? I'll just have them left over. And we were like, free stuff. Yeah, we do. Give me them. So we took them, and I was like, you know what? Okay, this purple one, this is going to be our like wealth crystal, okay? This green one, that's going to be our good luck crystal. And the blue one's going to be like a good travels crystal, okay? Now, again, at this time, we have basically no money. We're just about hanging on enough money to get groceries for the last few weeks while we're here until we go home. So we were a little bit upset about that. We were like, there were so many things that we wanted to do and see while we were here that we just won't get to do. So anyway, we're doom and gloom. We're just training, going home, training, going home, eating, boring. And then one of these days, the guy we were living with texted me, and he was like, what's your bank details? And in my mind, when we were living together, if we went to the shops and they needed chicken, we'd pick up the chicken for them, and then they'd pay us back for the chicken. Vice versa, if they went to the shops and we were like, oh, could you get milk? They'd get milk and pay them back, vice versa. So I didn't think too much about it. I was like, okay, I don't know if he owes me something, but he will owe me something in the coming days anyway, if he doesn't. So I sent them off, didn't think anything about it. And then I'd say maybe like 2 hours later, I got a phone call. And this is my Australian phone number. No one knows me in Australia. Yeah. No one has my phone number. No one has a reason to ring me. So I'm like, it's a number I don't have. Who is this? I'm not going to answer it. And I was like, oh, okay, like maybe it's something important. Like how is someone ringing me? Okay, I will answer. I answer it, and it was Mario. And I was like, what? And he opens it with, I don't know if you believe in God, And I'm going, what on earth is this all about to be? I took a free meal off him. Am I now in a cult or something? Like what? He goes, I don't know if you believe in God, but I feel as though I was like put on this earth to care for, look after, support the people in my close community. And he was telling me about how he had recently like donated to his church and kind of like reupholstered his church, things of that nature. And he goes, after we chatted the other day, I was outside of the gym and I didn't think your name, but God placed your name on my heart. He goes, God placed your full name, Andrew Blackwood, on my heart. I didn't think it with my brain, but I knew it was placed on my heart, and I knew I had to do something to help you guys out because of the tough time that you've had here in Australia. I'm listening, I'm going, what the hell is this guy talking about? What's going on right now? So he goes, check your bank account. I'm looking around, I'm like, is this a prank show? Like, is someone punking me? Is like Ashton Kutcher gonna jump up from behind the desk and be like, gotcha? So anyway, I pull up the online banking, I check my bank account. Again, I had maybe $150. This guy that we had met one time before transferred us $1,500. Speechless. I almost dropped the phone. My girlfriend's crying. I don't know what to say. I'm like, we can't, I can't take this money. Like, there's no way I can take this money, no. And he's like, no, like, you guys have had a tough time here. You haven't got to experience the things that like you would want to experience when you come across the world. So just promise me you'll like use this money to go out and enjoy your time that you have like left in the country before you have to leave. I'm like, what? Like, what? Don't know what to say. I'm like, is this real? Like, is there a catch? What is going on? And he's like, and just like, don't tell anyone about it. Just keep it between us. The main thing I want is for you guys to go and enjoy yourself. And he hangs up. We leave the conversation. I'm looking at my girlfriend. She's crying. She's looking at me. And we're looking at each other going, we're looking at the rocks. We're looking at the crystals. I'm looking at this little crystal that I said this little rock was going to be my wealth crystal, our good luck crystal, and our good travels crystal. And I'm looking at these little fellas on the table, and they're looking back at me, and I'm saying, there is no way that we got given these little gems. We said these things are going to bring us good fortune and good luck after watching this documentary on the law of attraction and thinking that it's woo-woo, and who just gets sent money in the post. Who gets sent $1,500 from a person that they met one time because God placed your name on their heart? This is not real. This is not real life. And then it got me like questioning even further that I was like, okay, he said, I don't know if you believe in God, so maybe it doesn't matter what religion that you do believe in, whether it is God Almighty, whatever the Christian ones believe in, whether it's like Allah, whether it is like, it doesn't matter what religion you follow, whether it's crystals, whether it's energy, whether it's like something else. Maybe it's just the act of believing in something that somehow there's something going on out there. There's something going on in the world around us that, I don't know, maybe beliefs actually have some sort of impact. So I'm going, I have no choice. I have no choice but to believe in these little crystals now for the rest of my life. I can't go back. Okay, the universe. After this experience, I would be criminal to try say these rocks weren't special. So that I don't know my thoughts. I don't know what is real. I don't know what is not real. I don't know what to believe. I also would agree with what you said about the way you think and believe and what you want to attract will influence the way that you carry yourself. It will influence the way you perceive things. But brother, how the hell does that happen? So anyway, with that money, we ended up going to Tangalooma Island. So if you watch the Scooby-Doo movie, it's the island that the Scooby-Doo movie was filmed on.
So scary.
Amazing. Yeah, it's not actually like that.
Yeah, so scary when I watched that when I was a kid.
Amazing. We got to feed dolphins. We got to go on like a glass bottom boat thing. We got to kayak around like these shipwrecks and stuff. Incredible. Then we got to go to like Australia Zoo. We got to pet and like feed a rhino. Got to feed a giraffe. Like all these like close-up encounters and see all these crazy things that we wanted to see. Then we got to go back to like the Gold Coast beach, stay in an Airbnb there for the last few weeks. Like have all these amazing things that there would have been no way that we could have like done them otherwise. all thanks to this guy that we met one time, giving us money after we rubbed a little rock and said, I want to have good luck, I want to have money, I want to have blah, blah, blah.
Have you ever heard of or from this guy again?
Briefly, we'll talk like over Instagram. We'll keep in touch over Instagram. Cool. Yeah, amazing guy. Nice. Amazing guy.
Wow, yeah, amazing guy, yeah.
And then from that point on, I have another story about it. When we came back, we still like had the crystals, and it was in the lead up to, it was 2021 Junior Worlds in Sweden, and I was still under 93, and in the whole prep, I had a crystal that I was like, I want a medal at World Championships. I want a medal at World Championships. I want a medal at World Championships. I'd say it over and over. I'd say it like 5 times in the lead up to like training every day. Like, I want a medal at World Championships. I want a medal at World Championships. Like, I want that. Did that for the entirety of the prep. We get to World Championships. This is I'm pretty sure it's like my first junior competition, under 93. I had a good day. I went 8 for 9. I was in the A flight, deadlifted 315 kilos under 93, okay? I was pretty sure the heaviest deadlift going into the B flight, but I knew there were some big pullers in there. Anyway, it turns out as the B flight unfolds, 2 people outpulled me. Gavin Aiden on his 3rd deadlift. I pulled 315, he pulled 317 and a half. So he came 3rd on deadlifts, I got bumped to 4th. And I was like, I knew those crystals were bullshit. I knew it was fake. You sold me a dream and it didn't come true. So anyway, I was like, whatever. Screw that crystal. That's nonsense. Then the evening unfolds and it was still great. Everyone was going out. And then Jay, the Irish head coach at the time, came up to me in the bar that we were in and handed me a medal. And I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, why am I getting this? Because I had placed wherever I had placed, Ireland, the male team, juniors, came like 1 point ahead of the GB team. So the junior males, because of whatever position that I had reached, came 1 point. We placed 3rd overall in like the team championships, and I got a medal because I had contributed. And then I looked back at that crystal and I said, there's no way, you pranked me. You hustled me. You got me thinking it was fake. And then the universe sent me another signal and was like, no, I'm telling you right now, there's no way you can ever believe anything otherwise. So I'm going, okay, fine. You've sold it to me. I've got to believe in it. So yeah, that's my story about the law of attraction. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what's real. I don't know what's fake. But yeah. I have no choice. I have to. I'm bound to the crystals.
Do you have one with you right now?
No, not right now. But I'm going to go home and I'm going to go pray to another one.
We're going to rub that shit and you're going to fucking...
Yeah, for this World Championships coming up.
Man, rub one for me, will you?
Yeah, I'll give you one. I'll give you one. Yeah.
Fuck.
So anyway, that's that. Yeah. What do you make of that?
They're nice stories.
Yeah. Nice. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. I really like the story of your man in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bet he lives a pretty nice life. Yeah. As in, like,
just the way he carries himself.
Yeah. It's really nice.
So anyway, what else? We move on from that. The law of attraction. Who knows? Mumbo jumbo. Believe. Do you know a lot of people, like successful people, are real into it though?
Yeah.
You know, like Conor McGregor's real into it.
Really?
Yeah, really into it. Like manifestation.
With like manifestation and believing, regardless of the mechanism through which you believe it happens.
Yeah.
Like I explained mine through a real
smart
psychological whatever. Despite like regardless of the mechanism, if you are living in a way that you believe you can go in a positive direction, by being positive. Yeah. Being positive
that
is healthy. Even if you go back to my whole
whether it's magic or whether there is a explanation, it seems to have positive outcomes regardless.
Yeah. And it's not to say, and here's the challenging, I guess, the biggest rebuttal is some people could be extremely positive and have the most horrendous experiences in the world. And it's like, but it goes without saying that it is a good idea to go forward in life positively, optimistically, and trying your best in everything you do and trying your best to believe that the future can be good, because otherwise, that's not to say that will prevent negative experiences, but doing the opposite will almost guarantee negative experiences.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Fascinating. There was another topic that we were going to dive into.
Oh no.
Don't even know how to get there.
What is it?
Programming. What angle do we even approach this from?
Programming. Can you just will training progress, or does, can you just be positive in training and training adaptations occur? Training, okay, Adam said this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Powerlifting is simple.
Yeah.
And people are complex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's start there.
Juicy couture.
Start there.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's your coach.
He's a pretty complex guy.
Yeah.
I think the sentiment there, or at least the way I took that and have carried it forward, is that when you understand some core training principles, so let's preface that.
Yeah.
You can't just go into a sport and just coach.
Yeah.
But when you do understand the core training principles, how do people get stronger? What are some good ideas? What are some things to minimize? That process is simple once you understand.
Yeah.
But people, and not just one individual that you're working with, but the fact that there are an infinite pool of people potentially interested in powerlifting, that is the complexity with powerlifting coaching.
Yeah.
And so the coaching process isn't necessarily simple because you're dealing with people who are complex, but don't overcomplicate the powerlifting.
Yeah.
The powerlifting itself is pretty simple.
Yeah.
Powerlifting itself is pretty simple. The only, you need to understand the core principles, and then the only changes you make about the powerlifting are in response to the complex people.
Yeah.
But it's all simple in the powerlifting.
That was a really good way to break that down. I like that. So if we had to explore a little bit, like what are the core principles of the programming? Like what are some general foundational things with programming that you need to keep in check?
It's tough because some things are so basic that I feel like most people understand them. But the likes of, like, you need to be squat, bench and deadlifting to be better at squat, bench, deadlift.
Yeah.
Fatigue management.
Yeah.
You probably don't want to be doing 10 sets of 10 every time you train. So there's kind of like these, if you squint your eyes, everybody's program should probably have these core things in them.
You should probably be squat, bench and deadlifting.
Yeah.
You should probably be hitting those lifts anywhere between 1 and 4, 5. I know people bench 6 times a week. They can do that. There's some people who do SBD 6 times a week. Like it could.
Should go.
Yeah.
Fine.
Crazy. How the hell do you do that? Well, see, I could write a program that was SBD 6 times a week, but a lot of the sessions would just have to be very
The bar.
Yeah, like very very low intensity and or volume. But like you could do it. So you're squatting, bench and deadlifting. You're doing those anywhere between 1 and probably like 3 to 4 is a reasonable place. You're probably going to have periods where you're handling like higher volumes, and then there's going to be periods of like higher intensities, and you can have both of those things coexist in the same block if you like, where you have that like DUP kind of approach. You probably want to maximize the amount of hypertrophy that you have over a year.
Yep.
You want to maximize the amount of time that you're doing like productive training and minimize the amount of time that you're, say, like peaking or just expressing strength. And that's kind of it. Like the difference between doing sets of 5 and sets of 6 is probably like doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all, because that used to be something that I found daunting when I was first like beginning to even like consider coaching and like programming. And it was like, oh my God, it seems like there is like this infinite amount of possible ways that you could arrange training in terms of the training days, and then in terms of the amounts of like reps and sets that you do, and then how you spread that out across a week. But I'd say in actuality, like there is many different ways that you can write a program. They'll all probably achieve a similar result, provided again you have those core pillars in place. You're not doing like 10 by 10s. You're meeting like general recovery needs, so on and so forth. That it's not that unbelievably complex. The powerlifting aspect of it. The complex bit is managing people. That's the bit where you need more skills, I would say. But I don't know how I want to phrase it or even like talk about it, but when I was like getting into coaching, and still now I see it, and I suppose it's present like everywhere, whether it is like powerlifting or just general like gym training, the amount of like over complication that you see. And I don't know if it is from the sense of like, if I portray myself to have some like high and mighty knowledge beyond everyone else, that I make this process seem really complicated. It makes me seem like supremely educated and I'm more of an authority than anyone else, because I know that instead of doing a regular bicep curl, you need to do the upside down hinging spider curl, like the way you see online, like you don't eat this food or do this exercise. This exercise gets 80% of the muscle targeted and this one only gets 55%. Like that kind of stuff, that sort of overcomplication that in the grand scheme of things is not relevant or important. That used to bother me. I think there was like so much conflicting information, and I think maybe it is just through experience that you find the main things that move the needle. And to us, it does seem simple. To a lot of people, it doesn't, because there is that, you're being bombarded with information and it's hard to decipher what is actually useful and what isn't. So that's how I look at myself and my like coaching role, because I said it to you before and you mentioned to me, like, yes, it seems simple to you, but it's your job to make it simple for the client. Like that's why they're paying you. You know, it's your job to make the process as simple as possible for them. And I like that. That has helped me quite a bit. Because in my brain, I'm like, this is so logical and straightforward. But I understand for a lot of people that maybe it's not. And it is more so, I look at my role as a coach, almost like trying to manage and blind people from the unnecessary stuff. Just keep them on the track of training with these like main principles and blocking out the stuff that is unnecessary. Because I'm sure you get it yourself. It's like, oh, I saw this Instagram post or a TikTok thing from another coach, and then that plants that seed of doubt that maybe the program that I'm doing isn't the best or the most optimal or the smartest. And when you have that seed of doubt, then you don't commit to it fully and you don't believe in your training program. And then we've talked about the belief that you have in the process, how that will affect the actual outcomes that you get from the process. So trying to essentially just block out the stuff that doesn't matter and keep it as simple as possible to keep people engaged in the process long enough to keep doing all the things that are necessary to see progress. But I was going to say like the con of it all. It's not the con of it all, but like when you pull back the curtain, the main things are so straightforward. All the extra stuff, you're almost getting like overcomplicated and confused unnecessarily. This is the way I have found myself looking at it more often. Thoughts?
I liked everything you said.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that I disagree with or would like to expand. I think there's a whole bunch of reasons maybe that people like to overcomplicate. Maybe that's all I can add.
Yeah.
I think people like to have some sense of agency or an increased sense of agency, or seek more control, or like, you know, I'm not progressing as fast as I want to. That and then when someone proposes an overcomplicated answer, that's why it clicks, because like, oh, that must be why. Yeah. Or what if I try that? Because it's
something new. You feel like you're taking a new action.
Yeah. So you feel like you can then be in more control, when really we have little control over the rate of progress.
Yeah.
We can only stick to the simplistic core principles, block out the other things, and just keep following that path, and progress will take its path through life. That was actually quite good. I remember having a conversation years ago, maybe when I was like earlier to coach, and I think I said, oh, it's kind of like you're just steering their ship, but it's still their ship. And Adam said, no, it's like all you're doing is actually standing there with a map. Yeah. They need to steer the ship. It's their, like, they're still responsible, but you're standing there with a map, and like you said, you're blocking out the things they don't need as well. So you're telling them to avoid. You're telling them what to avoid, not just the direction to go.
like and that's what I think as well. If you put yourself out there as someone who knows like the magic secret to programming and this magic thing that no one else knows, you seem like more of an authority. It's a great like marketing.
It sells.
Yeah, it sells. It sells that you have this trick, this magic solution.
And nobody else is saying it, so you only have.
Yeah, you're the one that you need to go to. Yeah, I don't believe that. And that has caused me issues as a lifter, questioning the path that I need to go. And then it's only through experience of doing it long enough, realizing, oh, most programs work. It doesn't matter what you do. Again, if you're following those like foundational things of making sure that you recover enough, you're following through like progressive overload over time, you can structure, you can do 5s, you can do 6s, you can do 7s, you can do 4s. Like they will all work. The way that you arrange that is not super specific. Now, then it comes back to like the individual and their preferences and what they enjoy doing, and that's where you would start to manipulate those things. But yeah, just being, it's almost like reassuring. It's like empowering to know that, again, the way I kind of look at it is when we're trying to like apply a stimulus to someone to make them adapt, it's not a super precise like snipe that you're trying to get this like perfect program. We talked about it in the previous episode where there's, instead of it being like there's one training layout that is like optimal, there could be 30 or 40 training layouts out of 200 that will all elicit kind of that similar amount of progress. And the way that they would vary is probably based on the individual's preferences. So when you're like cultivating a program or you're designing it, you're not trying to like snipe the super most precise amount of stimulus to give someone. It's like a shotgun blast that you are moving in the general target that will elicit progress going forward. And that idea has, for me, been very reassuring and very empowering, that if I deviate from the perfect plan, I'm not going to make progress, or I'm not going to make progress at the optimal rate. Whereas instead, looking at that it is this broader approach and there's many things that will work, it's more reassuring and it's easier to believe in the process then, that if I just keep ticking off these boxes, these main things, then I will absolutely see progress going forward. And I've continued to see progress going forward with that approach. And for all my lifters as well, they're all seeing progress going forward. So yeah, that's something, it's a gripe I have perhaps, is like seeing those like overly complicated approaches, or things that promote the idea that it's overly complicated and there's one optimal path that you need to follow. Because I don't like that. I don't resonate with that idea.
Is reminiscent of our experiences with tattoos, and recently Adam got his tattoo, and he texted me asking, he was like, oh yeah, so just advice now that it's done and I had the second skin on, like when do I take it off and what do I do? And I told him, and it was a pretty simple answer that we've come to after how many tattoo sessions between us. You've had even more. And he was like, oh, like so simple, and it's so conflicting to hear all the other advice when I look it up or go on Instagram. It's like, yeah, it's the same here. It's like the simple, like the coaches and successful coaches, it's all very simple. And then you hear all the fluff around. When really, if you need to just go to the core. What's everyone saying? What's common in all successful cases?
And that is what I think will lead to you becoming like a better athlete, because then you know what to channel all of your energy into. When you know the main core things that will move the needle, you don't need to worry about the fluff anymore. You don't need to, like, you don't go through the cognitive stress of, do I need to change my foot angle in my deadlift, or do I need to be doing fatigue singles instead of whatever other programming kind of option that you have. When you realize that a lot of those things are broadly not that big of a deal, that you can select a lot of them, and the main things that will matter is the effort and the intent that you bring to it, looking after your nutrition, looking after your sleep, blah, 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 flogging a dead horse talking about these things. But if you look after those, everything else like sorts itself out, and you don't need to worry about the fluff anymore, because that stressing about the fluff and is there something that I'm missing out on, you're putting your energy into these other things that don't matter and they're not moving the needle, and then you end up spinning your wheels and then you feel like shit because you're not making progress. Whereas when you know or you understand, and maybe it just comes through experience, maybe it comes through being told, being exposed to the ideas, that I don't need to worry about these smaller other things. I just channel all my effort and energy into the main things that actually move the needle, and then you see infinite progress for the rest of your days. And I found that. I heard Joey used to talk about that. He's like, sometimes it takes like 6 months or 12 months before it clicks, and when it clicks, you're off to the races. You essentially are just making progress and making progress and making progress. And I had that point again a couple of years ago when everything started to click for myself, and it's just been an upward trajectory since. And then I even see it with my own lifters after a number of blocks, and I try to create as many resources as possible to like fast track that period of time that it takes for it to click. But when you see it click, it's like, oh my God, you're cruising now. You are just making continued progress, and you don't even have to think about it anymore. It's like as easy as brushing your teeth. It just becomes the automated progress. You don't have to worry about these super small details anymore, because you have got everything that you need in place. You have all your ducks in a row. You get it. You know what is important, and you just execute on those things.
Isn't it funny the effort it takes to actually bring someone back to the simple?
Yeah.
Like you have to put in so much work to actually be doing less.
Yeah.
But doing less, that might sound incorrect. Maybe that's the wrong way to put it. More, I'm just commenting on how what you're actually doing. It's the Mount Stupid thing. It's the Mount Stupid thing, where in the middle you think you know everything, and it's just everything's so complicated. When really you need to just come back down to when you learn more, and it's actually way less.
Yeah, we almost want to believe that it's more complicated than it is, I would say. I'd say there's an element to that. I'd say from a coaching perspective as well, there's probably an element of wanting to portray it as more complicated as well, because then it justifies your role as a coach, because you have this super special ultimate knowledge that other people don't have. But I don't know, I look at my role as a coach much more as a people manager, a facilitator of ideas, someone again who is holding the map. You're a guide on the side. You are, there was a saying, you're a guide on the side rather than, but you're not, I don't know how to word it, but you're just the facilitator of ideas. You're there as support, you're there as accountability, you're there to provide the plan, you're there to reassure the person that this is what you need to do. If you follow these steps, you will see progress. You are there as the reassurance. You are there as the person who is, I will predict the future for you. I will tell you if you do these things, you will reach the outcome that you desire. And we know that because of the experience, because of doing it ourselves, because of doing it for however many other people, we know if you follow these steps, you'll reach the point that you want to get to. Now, perhaps you don't know it yet because you haven't been there, but through the experience of following these steps, you'll gradually learn that these are the things that are important. You'll have been like backed up and reaffirmed by the progress that you're seeing, and then you know, okay, I don't actually need to worry about these other things. When I have done that, it hasn't facilitated any extra progress. When I have done these things, that has led to the progress that is necessary. So that is more so how I look at my role as a coach these days.
You also said that you are helping to keep them on the path to like all that time that it takes.
Keep them engaged.
You're helping to keep them on the path, engaging, accessibility, adherability. Like getting them to stick to it, because there are times where even for us where we know everything, it's actually hard to stick to, just because cognitively it can be frustrating, or distractions and things like this. So there's a lot to coaching, but again, it's with the people, not with the powerlifting itself. Fascinating. That's something I've been thinking about lately. I'm sure it will keep coming up as time goes on, because powerlifting remains simple, and people remain complex, and people remain complicating of things. So we'll be here to simplify as best we can.
Damn. Wonder how long that was.
I think it was 2 hours.
Baby. So there's some value in there. and there's some silly stories, and there's some, can't even remember what we talked
silly
about.
stuff, and there's we'll find out when we watch.
Yeah, I'll watch it back and I'll figure it out. I'll listen to it and be like, damn, he was talking nonsense.
So next episode, we'll probably have a guest on, one of
hopefully
a couple.
Yeah, we have 3 people who are waiting in the wings to come on.
Waiting in the wings.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get that sorted soon enough. We'll be hitting rapid fire podcasts out after you go on holidays. Mario's on holidays. I'm not going on holidays because I'm on a mission to bench 200 kilos.
Nice.
Actually, I'm not on a mission to bench 200 kilos. I don't even want to bench 200 kilos. I don't need to bench 200 kilos. I can't force myself to bench 200 kilos. I found myself getting too caught up on the number. And even though it was happening as a joke, like I was joking about I'm going to bench 200, I actually found myself being like, oh fuck, I only have like 8 weeks now and I'm going to have to press it in this time, and that's like 8 kilos more than I've ever done before. Like, am I going to be able to do it? What if I don't do it? What if I miss it? Like, those kind of thoughts were creeping in. And through all of the experience that I've had thus far, it's not helpful.
No.
That's not going to help me bench 200.
No.
Me stressing about that, me trying to put the pressure on myself to do it, because we cannot force ourselves to make a specific amount of progress in a specific period of time. It just doesn't work, and it's easy to fall into the trap of doing that. We want to set ourselves like objective goals, because that's kind of how the sport is judged. We want to map out our progress. It's natural to want to do that, but the body does not adhere to our arbitrary timelines. It doesn't. Just because we say we want to bench 200 in the next 8 weeks doesn't mean we can force that to happen. We have no control over that. There's so many variables that will like influence our rate of progress. Some of them outside of our control, some of them inside our control. So all that we can do is try our very best to facilitate those conditions that will lead to progress and allow the progress to take place. We can't force the progress to happen. So all that I can do is train hard, show up, be consistent, do all of my sessions, look after my nutrition, make sure that I'm trending up in a surplus at the desired rate that I want to be moving up at, look after my recovery, make sure that I'm sleeping, try to look after my stress management, manage any things that are coming up and giving me cognitive difficulties. And then the amount of progress that I can make in that time will be what I deserve for the amount of effort that I can put in. If I try my very best, whatever number I get at the end of it was the best that I could do. If I do everything right and say at World Championships, the max that I could bench was 199 kilos, not that I can load that in the bar, but if that's what I was capable of, who am I to judge myself as a failure because I couldn't hit the arbitrary number of 200 in this timeline? If I did my very best and I ticked all the boxes and the number that I was capable of at the end for that work that I did, I have to accept the number that I got and be happy with the number I got and be proud of the number that I got, because that's the progress that I saw from the work that I put in. So that's the position I'm in at the moment. Don't even want to bench 200. If it comes, it comes. If not, I'll be happy with whatever I get for the work that I put in.
Only appropriate to end it there.
Yeah. A pleasure as always.
Pleasure as always.
Thank you very much for listening and or watching, and we will see you in the next one.
Thank you guys.